could be a really decent person and not repent because you're not a bloody Christian.
I can't believe Haiti, the ardent atheist, does a better job of comprehending, like, and
it's not rocket science.
Well, I know, you're particularly brilliant atheist, but like, Mixette, how is it not worrying you that she is understanding this and you're not?
No, because I was explaining this from the beginning. It looks to me like eternal gatekeeping. Like you're saying, here's
it's the opposite of that. Literally anybody can repent. Anybody. And as I have said 50 times.
Yeah, but not anyone can be Christian, apparently.
If you're not, you're not. Donald Trump is not.
The identity of Christianity. That's what
it's not gatekeeping. It would be gatekeeping if it was like you have to believe every theological thing I believe. But if you don't believe Jesus is your Lord and Savior, then you're not a Christian.
Donald Trump.
Thank you.
And if you don't repent,
I say, how do you know Trump doesn't believe that?
Because he doesn't repent. He doesn't
including the sinners.
He's
all of the Christians. None of them repent properly.
What's the what do you call it? I don't know, the gospel or something. You can boil it down to this. I'm a sinner. I need to repent and ask Jesus for salvation. That's mostly Christianity. That's most of it, right? And if you're not doing that, you're not a fucking Christian.
It's just like your opinion, Frenchie.
Well, no, I would just say you're a Christian that isn't following Christianity well.
Like, that would be me then.
Because are you actually thinking that Trump might actually be a Christian and that this?
Oh, I actually
think he is.
One second, I want to be clear. I made the argument that Trump is practically a better Christian than Steph because of how many Bibles he has sold.
Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous thing to say.
I'm so glad that you guys are here now.
See, the thing is, we all have our opinions, but a lot of people like Steph, they think their opinions are facts.
It's kind of a fact that if you don't think that you're a sinner.
Kind of a fact is an opinion, stupid.
Yeah, but Trump might believe that. He goes to church.
But he doesn't because he was literally asked about it and he said, I don't have anything to repent for or I don't think I've done anything wrong.
Listen. Haiti, I'm trying to be clear on this. I have no problem. Trump is evil, and maybe deep in his heart knows that he's evil and he's lying to everybody. I'm fine with all of that. What I have problems with is saying, therefore he's not the Christian. Like, I don't know why. Look, where does his wickedness remember him from the culture that
He's saying he's not a Christian because he's evil. We're saying he's not a Christian because he doesn't recognize Jesus as his Lord and Savior and he doesn't think he's a sinner.
You're only saying that because you're saying he's lying.
I'm not saying he's lying, he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth, he doesn't think he's a sinner. And he's said it over and over again. The other reasons are, he's just obviously not religious.
Are you people fucking neurotic? Are you fucking mental, man? The fuck is wrong with you people?
He's cheated on all his wives, and he is not repentant. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with any of his...
Fucking neurotic? Are you fucking mental?
I'm not playing.
Please, God, look at your dick again. Raymond, can you text me right quick?
Sensitive to us, the way they are to the streets. That's just who they are. You know what I'm saying? But they don't understand that.
Ain't no niggas being sensitive in the streets, girl.
You cut me up, but you cut me off.
Did she cut you off?
Yeah,
Did she cut you off?
Yeah, she did.
Okay, this is Trump as a God King, the best Christian of all time. My friend, welcome to Trump as a God King.
I almost actually was trying to contribute to that conversation, and then I stopped myself and I realized this is retarded, and I'm not gonna try to contribute to this conversation because it's just a dope fest for our words, and I don't want to do that. Not a good use of time.
Well,
I like when Trump was asked, "What's your favorite verse of the Bible?" He's like, "I like all of them." He just couldn't name a single fucking verse.
That's good.
Okay, I'm willing to like most people the benefit of the doubt. Although
I'm willing to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, so can the Pope, and he's not a Christian either. Like, you miss everybody.
Selling Bibles like a good standard for whether or not you're a Christian.
In terms of like the commandments that Christians gave to their offspring, it was to spread the word. And if he's literally publishing Bibles and selling them,
I got some new books in the mail. Okay, we're just gonna leave that room. Let them be. Let those Christians simmer. They're in a crock pot of despair. Okay, this is The Secret Wisdom of the Kabbalah, a study in Jewish mystical thought by J.F.C. Fuller. The beings who live below say that God is on high, while the angels in heaven say that God is on earth. This is book number 93 of 220 limited copies. Preface: this small book is in no sense a treatise on the Kabbalah. Instead, it is a speculative study on one of the several secret doctrines which it contains, and I believe the key doctrine of all the others. Should this be correct, then it follows that unless this doctrine is understood, the whole symbolism of Jewish mysticism must remain obscure. And it is this mysticism, so it seems to me, which constitutes the foundations of Jewish culture and Jewish aspirations. Granted that this is so, then it follows that the idea elaborated in this book is one of considerable importance, even if many of my interpretations are faulty, even if the whole of my readings are wrong, which is unlikely. This in itself does not necessarily invalidate the idea. For example, Columbus believed that the world was round, and he set out to prove it. In doing so, he discovered a new world, which, though it did not at the time actually confirm this idea, established a stepping stone to the circumnavigation of the globe, which did confirm it in an obvious and uncontradictable way. So also in this book, I have set out to penetrate the mists of Kabbalistic learning, not because I presume to be an adept in its mysteries, but because I suspect that they hide within them the idea of a new world conception, an idea which for 2,000 years has been struggling to take form. Should I be right in this belief, then it follows that once this form consolidates, from out of it will emanate a new ideology, which will exert so stupendous an influence upon our lives that it will constitute a world revolution. Nevertheless, I do not intend to touch upon this possibility in the present work, for all I will attempt to show that the idea is valid. Therefore, my object is solely to examine and explain it in order to establish it as a fact. Introduction: The Mystical Foundations of the World Order. Life is shrouded in a mystery. This is the fundamental fact which confronts us. We live in a cave with our backs to the light, and as Plato said, our knowledge is nothing more than the shadows which play upon its walls. What this mystery is in itself we cannot tell. All we know is that it exists, and ultimately all we know of ourselves is that we exist. If we call this mystery God, then our lives vibrate between the two poles of God is and I am. But because the first transcends the reason, as the infinite transcends the finite, the relationship between them can only be expressed in symbols. That is in finite or rational terms. If in the place of God we write reality, nature, unknowable, or zero, it matters not one whit. The equation is just as obscure, for all we have done is to replace A by B, C, D, or E. Not knowing what these letters mean, the symbol has changed, but what it symbolizes remains as inscrutable. Granted that this is so, then it follows that our intellectual lives are purely symbolical existences. All of our thoughts are nothing more than symbols of a mystery, whether it embraces God, the ultimate source of all things, or reality, the tangible world in which we live. All are, in fact, equidistant from what they represent and are consequently of equal value from the point of view of the omnipotent. Though the words differ, we are saying no more than that God is. All these words, symbols, are of equal value because they in no way uncover this mystery, yet though equidistant from the represented. These symbols are by no means equidistant from the mind of man, which is not archetypal but protean. That is to say, it is forever changing its intellectual forms. Whilst at one time, one set of symbols keeps it in tune with the mystery. At another time, a different set of symbols can also do so. Consequently, though A, B, C, D, and E are all of equal value to the represented, they are by no means of equal value to the representer, ourselves. Granted that this is so, then it follows that symbols to remain potent must change as intellectual concepts change. For example, should we today declare that the universe is composed of minute, indivisible, and indestructible atoms of matter, we can expect no appeal from scientific mind, because the conception of the universe has changed, and the man of science is thinking in terms of electrical waves or waves of light. Nevertheless, these waves are just as much symbols as atoms are, and in themselves they explain nothing. Yet the virtue lies in that they fit better into the present order of scientific thought. That is, symbolically, they are not out of place. Oh, that's called reading a book! Book. I put in the chat in that room that if I had a wife like Steph, I would abandon and leave her because she talks too much. And it was at that exact moment that Big Sad invited me up to the stage. Michelle. Oh, Michelle, my darling Michelle. We were just studying the Kabbalah, the philosophy of the Jewish mystics. By the way, Michelle, this room title is facetious because people apparently don't understand what a joke is anymore. Okay, this is page number 2. As long as they maintain their place. Oh, Oscar Grant. They maintain their attractive power by bringing the mind into contact with the mystery. So long as this contact endures, an equilibrium is established between the mystery and the intelligence. Welcome, Michelle.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Are you streaming this on any other channel?
Yes.
What is the point of doing that exactly?
She laughed. Should have just said no, then I guess she would have stayed, right? Because you believe everything, right? What I think is funny is that now her profile will show this room. So whatever I change the title to, or whatever we say, will show up under her profile. Okay, this is a continuation of page 2 until we were interrupted with, "Are you not streaming this to YouTube?" And the mind is held, as it were, in a state of wonder, that is, of life or attraction, so long as the equilibrium lasts, that is, so long as faith in the potency of the symbol is overwhelming. Contentedness monopolizes the life of man, but directly this faith declines, discontent intervenes, and it is in discontent that must be sought the origins of all world revolutions. Why is this so? Because the finite can only find succor in the infinite, potent in the omnipotent, the limited in the unlimited, the mortal in the immortal, the child in the mother. Cut away the greater, and the lesser is bereft of hope. It is like a ship drifting on a shoreless sea. She may be well built, well stocked, and bravely manned, yet her destiny is foreordained, having no port to put into. Sooner or later, she and her crew must sink beneath the waters and be lost forever. When this doom encompasses mankind as today it would seem to encompass it, man does not so much wring his hands in despair as drown his hopelessness in physical enjoyments. Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. Become the passwords of the age, and the more this obsession gains sway, the less does wonder illumine his path. Until the age enters its eclipse, love becomes lust, the noble ignoble, the beautiful hideous, the generous selfish, and all is lost in a scramble of greeds. It is in this dismal darkness that Satan materializes, and Satanism becomes a cult. The symbols go on, potent and impotent, but now they are turned upside down, for fear is hope reversed. What causes this vacuum into which fear rushes? A breakdown in the equilibrium between the mysterious and the intelligible. And there is the greater mystery between God and the mind of man. So also is there the lesser mystery between mind and the body of mankind. The knowing are few, the ignorant are many. What to the one is supreme goodness, to the other may prove to be a deadly poison. As Adam, eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, lost Eden, so throughout the ages have the wise kept wisdom to themselves, imparting to the multitudes only just sufficient knowledge to fill them with wonder, guarding against giving too much, lest wonder intoxicates them and turns them mad. When this wisdom has been observed, an equilibrium has been established in the social order, and when it has not been observed, chaos has always held sway. A society or a civilization seldom perishes by the sword. Nearly always it perishes through a defamation of the mysteries which held it in equilibrium. When Ham uncovered his father's nakedness, he was cursed. So also was Prometheus, punished for stealing fire from heaven. Thus it happens that a people or a civilization is cursed when its rulers uncover the mysteries in the public places. When the symbols are made cheap, they are misunderstood. They cease to be symbolical and become real. Idols in the eyes of the multitudes. When the multitudes dance round the golden calf, then are the tables of the law cast upon the ground. All this may seem strange to us today, when everything is trumpeted about, is trumpeted abroad, sold for gold. There is no righteousness in the land, when love and lust, sorrow, tragedy, and excitement are sold for a penny in the newspapers, and when all that is sacred and vicious is broadcasted around for much less. The exploitation of the mysteries is the order of this age. There is no secrecy, except that of exaggeration and untruthfulness. Yet may not it be said, is not the progress of today due almost entirely to publicity? Yes, it is undoubted. But what profits progress if the world is to be filled with discontent? Freedom is a sublime mystery. But when this mystery is vulgarized, it becomes anarchy. Look around, everywhere we see turmoil, strife, jealousy, fear, and greed. Satan brooding over the four corners of the world, and the drums of war beating nearer and nearer. Behind this turmoil crouches the machine, the Baphomet of the age of iron. He should have been the servant of man, yet he has become his master. He should have mitigated the curse of Eden and have transformed toil and labor into leisure and contentment. Why has he failed to do so? Because the mysteries of physical science, having slipped the leash of secrecy, have, like Menids, coursed madly about the world. Once the searchers after the mysteries of nature worked in a gloom of fear, locking away the knowledge in ciphers and cryptograms. Now they stride into the laboratories, seeking to transmute knowledge into gold. When the people cannot understand their jargon, they fall back upon the pen of the novel writer, transforming scientific fact into romantic fiction. Why has science failed us? Because the wisdom of the few has been cast like pearls before the swinish ignorance of the many. The intellectual evolution of the masses has not kept pace with the physical evolution of the scientists. A new body has been built, a body of titanic power, yet it is still inhabited by a mind which belongs to a far less powerful instrument. The result is a moral disintegration, a throwing out of balance, out of focus, out of equilibrium. Chaos surrounds us because the mysteries have been communicated to those unworthy to receive them. And not until the new body is endowed with a new mind will a new soul be born within it. Such an equilibrium can alone be established through wonder, stepping out from the finite towards the infinite. A transmutation of Satan into God. Transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is knowledge which transcends the intelligence. It need not therefore be acknowledged. It need not therefore be knowledge which is beyond the focus of the mind. The differential calculus is common knowledge to the mathematician, and yet it is transcendental to the majority of mankind. So also with practically all science, it is in itself the prerequisite of the few whom we call the wise. Today, the fundamental difference between the science of this age and the science of past ages is that whilst formerly the universe was looked upon as being full of symbols which, when read correctly, could lead us to the real being which they clothed, today the universe is considered to be reality itself. A tangible being is something which exists separated from us and which we can probe with our physical senses and take apart and put together again as if it were a machine. The mystical conception has been replaced by the mechanical conception, and yet in itself the mystery remains as profound. Aziz, welcome to the room.
Welcome, Aziz. Hello.
Aziz, would you like to comment on the title of the room?
I mean, he did say he said he was going to hell. He was on the plane. He was like, "I'm gonna go to hell."
He said that?
Yeah, he said that. He said that on his jet. He was doing an interview. He goes, "I'm gonna go to hell. I'm probably gonna go to hell, but probably gonna go to hell." He said that.
Wait, but what? About what?
Shall I play it?
Yeah, play it.
I don't want to misquote him. You know what I mean? So let's.
Can you play the latest episode of the Zach's Mom podcast featuring Zach's dad? Because I made a new AI theme song for the Zach's Dad podcast. I was listening to your music yesterday, John. I don't know if you were around.
Oh, here we go.
When it was playing music, it was playing like a lot of like Take the Deepest Breath of the Day and The Man Has the Right to Think What He Will. But then it started playing Everything Bagel. I got a really good Everything Bagel from it at LA.
Yeah, here we go.
You had talked a couple weeks ago, you were doing an interview, and you talked about how you looked to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help? I mean, I'm being like you. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly, of course, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven. But I've made life a lot better for a lot of people. And, as an example, had the election of 2020 not been rigged, you would.
So yeah, he just waffles off. Did you get the point?
Well, I think that's showing humility. Do you think you're going to get to heaven, Aziz?
Yeah, I think I'm a great person. Yeah.
Do you think you're going to get to heaven?
Mm-hmm.
Haven't you called me like a scumbag or like a cockroach or something or an F word? Haven't you called me the F word?
Yeah.
Well, do you think that's nice? Do you think that that's very good?
No.
Do you want to repent?
Would
you like to take this opportunity to repent?
I've accounted for my sins.
You've accounted for your sins of calling me the F word?
Yeah, I think in the moment I felt you deserved it. You
think that your savior, whoever it is, the Muslim version of Jesus?
Mm-hmm. Well,
you guys have like a Jesus type?
We believe in Jesus, so we don't have a version. We actually.
Does your heaven have gates? Are there pearly gates, or is it like are there gates of heaven?
I mean, there's definitely a list of people that can't get it, people that can. So it's gated in that sense. What about you? You're a Jew, right? Do you believe it? You don't believe in heaven, right? There's no real heaven.
I don't know.
Jews don't
I don't really know what I believe.
No, you guys don't believe in heaven. You have like a.
I'm a Jew ethnically first. Does that make sense to you?
Not really, no.
Well, so, for example, you're a fucking Paki.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, you're a Paki first. No offense.
I'm not offended.
No offense. I know you're a British guy. You were born in London, right?
And you're a fucking Jew.
Exactly. That's my Jew. But, were you born in London?
I was born in London, yeah.
So, what is the religion? I guess Pakistan is the same. You guys all have the same religion, but like.
Predominantly.
Well, I was raised to be very Jewish, but I wasn't really raised with the Jewish religion so much. And I learned about all of the religions of the world. And so I have a very comprehensive set of religious or spiritual beliefs, not just Jewish. So I am.
So what do you believe?
Saying that you're a fucking Paki.
So what do you believe?
Well, I believe the way that can be named, whatever you can believe in, whatever can be believed in, is probably not the eternal way of the world. Because I believe that the answer comes after.
Is it racist if I call you a fucking Jew? Is it racist if I call you a fucking Jew?
Well,
because it's
depends on your tone.
Well, not racist. Anti-Semitic, right? Isn't that what we say? That's what we say. Is that anti-Semitic?
Pronounced anti-Semitic.
Okay, Rabbo Shalom. I'm going to try to save the R word for later. Moving this conversation on. Aziz, I know you know, I found a link about the dopamine switch in the brain. It turns out that your conversation, gentlemen, is creating dopamine for the both of yourselves and enhancing your dope. Bigger dopes. Aziz, do you think you're a dope?
Yeah, depends on how you define the word, probably, yeah. I would say so.
Think about all the years you've been coming to Clubhouse talking to El Normo. Oh my God.
Oh God. Don't remind me.
Do you hear El Normo in your sleep? When you go to the gym and work out, which you probably don't, but if you did, do you think you'd hear El Normo telling you to try to get one more rep?
I mean, he's like my nemesis, you know what I mean? At this point. So,
You live your life with nemesis?
yeah, I mean, it's a driving force, you know what I mean?
I like Norm.
Well, Aziz, he gets roasted by Norm. Everybody roasts Aziz, but when Norm does it, it's got to be particularly painful and hurtful. Am I correct, Aziz?
But I like Aziz too. I don't think people take Norm seriously. Genuinely, I don't think anyone really takes.
Do you think people take you more seriously than El Normo?
Yeah, reluctantly. Like I even disagree with people and they take me more seriously. Yeah, I do. I do think they take me more serious. Yeah. I mean, he's very obnoxious, you know what I mean? He's a very obnoxious man. So, you know. And he hasn't mastered the art of communication, you know what I mean? There could be 40 people in the room. He's doing his little Hollywood director fucking get in a jacuzzi type thing. You know what I mean? So. But to be fair, I'll give him credit. You know, because obviously in London we have we have Jews in London, but they're kind of like I don't know what you would call them. So they have the sideburns and stuff. We have those Jews, right? But he's the kind of Hollywood director archetype. We don't really have them, so he definitely you know what I mean. He lives up to that kind of thing. So I'll give him credit. Something different, you know.
Oh, did Aziz leave? Whoa!
The dopamine dried up.
The history of dopamine. Okay, this is continuing on the secrecy of transcendental knowledge. So with practically all science, it is in itself the prerequisite of the few whom we call the wise. Today, the fundamental difference between the science of this age and the science of past ages is that whilst formerly the universe was looked upon as being full of symbols which, when read correctly, would lead us to the real being which they clothed, today the universe is considered to be reality itself, a tangible being, something which exists separated from us, and which we can probe with our physical senses and take apart and put together again as if it were a machine. The mystical conception has been replaced by the mechanical conception, and yet in itself the mystery remains as profound. Christ understood this when he said, "Give not that which is holy unto the dogs. Neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you." To the common folk, Christ spoke in parables, not because he was of a common mind, but because he was an initiate, and so understood how fine is the division between reason and madness, and how easily can knowledge dissolve the filament which separates these two. This essential wisdom, and wisdom is largely the application of knowledge to circumstances, has always been realized in the East amongst the Jews, and Christ was of that race. We find it firmly established, and it is not a mere coincidence, that the Hebrew word sod, which means mystery or secrets, has the same numerical value, namely 70, as the Hebrew word which represents wine. For mystery can intoxicate as well as refresh. The mysteries of the early Hebrews, closely guarded by the sons of the doctrine, and it would appear that many other secrets were derived from Egypt and later on from Babylonia. We are told that Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and that in the first 4 books of the Pentateuch, he was esoterically laying down the principles of the secret doctrine. He initiated 70 elders into the mysteries, which they transmitted from mouth to ear. Generally speaking, the initiates led an ascetic life in order to separate themselves from the ignorant and unwise, so that they might guard against divulging their doctrines. In these distant days, the mysteries of nature and what is now called physical science formed part of the hidden cult. Thus Pythagoras, Anaximander, Nicetas, Heraclitus, Aristarchus, Selenaeus, and Ecphantus believed in the rotundity of the earth or in its movement. The first of these philosophers holding that each star was a world possessing its own atmosphere and surrounded by immense spaces of ether. But this knowledge was never popularized for fear of upsetting religion. By means of which authority over ignorant masses was maintained early in the 4th century AD, we find Lactantius writing, "It is absurdity to believe that there are men who have feet above their heads. In countries in which all is inverted, in which the trees and plants grow from the top to the bottom, we find the germ of that error among the philosophers who have claimed that the earth is round." St. Augustine held a similar opinion long before Copernicus wrote his book Revolution of the Heavenly Bodies, about 1542 AD. We find that the medieval Jews had buried this secret in the Zohar, in which may be read. In the book of Hamanuna the Old, we learn that the earth turns upon itself in the form of a circle, that some are on the top and others below, that all creatures change in aspect, following the manner of each place, keeping, however, in the same position, but there are some countries of the earth which are lightened, whilst others are in darkness. These have the day when for the former it is night, and there are countries in which it is constantly day, or in which at least the night continues only some instants. These secrets were made known to the men of the secret science, but not to the geographers. Though refuted by Origen, Celsus was undoubtedly right when he declared that the primitive Christian church was possessed of a secret system, and Weishaupt, the supposed founder of the Illuminati, may not have been altogether wrong when he said, "No one has so cleverly concealed the high meaning of his teaching, and no one has so surely and easily directed men onto the path of freedom as our great master Jesus of Nazareth. This secret meaning and natural consequence of his teaching he hid completely, for Jesus had a secret doctrine, as we see in more than one place of the scripture." Whether this is so or not, there can be no doubt whatever that the Bible is a mystical work containing a secret doctrine only known to those who have been initiated created into it. But part of this doctrine will be discovered later on in this book. From this brief excursion into the past, it will be seen that an important part in human history. The idea that all knowledge should be divulged and broadcast among the masses is something quite modern, even as late as the 17th century, when Leibniz published of Leipzig his scheme of differential calculus. He did so in such a way as to hide both the method and object from the uninitiated. Newton did the same with his invention of infinite series and algebra. As far as it was understood by the Arabians, was as a secret known to and hidden by for 300 years. The world is a mystery, dangerous to the uninitiated. Here are two facts which would seem to be uncontradictable, for divulgence has invariably led to accident caused by a loss of balance between the spiritual and the mundane. Like all other peoples, the Jews realized this, and long before the Kabbalah was known as an occult science, the mysteries of creation, evolution, and dissolution were locked up in their sacred writings. Then came the Great Dispersion. A small people bereft of nationship was cast into a dissolving world, and almost simultaneously a new cult arose called Christianity, a Jewish heresy. The reaction on Orthodox Jewry was instantaneous, for a tension was established, which later on led to the persecution of the Jews, whereupon the secrecy of the doctrines took on an accentuated form. For self-preservation had now to be added to non-revelation. This led to the growth of oral traditions. The secret doctrines were passed from mouth to mouth and were locked away in the brains of the priesthood and the learned. Later, a persecution began to slacken. The written word once again began to appear. Degrees the Kabbalah emerged into daylight. The word is a curious one. Its value is 70, which is, as we have seen, the numerical value of sod, 4 plus 6 plus 60 equals, and wine, 10 plus 10 plus 50 equals, and also of night, 30 plus 10 plus 30, and 6 plus 5 equals some Hebrew letters plus 5. Therefore, it may be said to mean the secret which intoxicates, which is as dark as night, and which must not be divulged. The fountainhead of this doctrine is the Zohar, or Book of Splendor, a vast jumbled commentary on the written partly in Aramaic and partly in Hebrew. Tradition asserts that its author was Rabbi Simeon ben Yochai, who lived in the city of it. It was first taught by God himself to a select company of angels who formed a theosophic school in paradise. After the fall, the angels most graciously communicated this heavenly doctrine to the disobedient child of earth to furnish the protoplasts with the means of returning to the pristine nobility. And Adam it passed over to Noah, and then to Abraham, the friend of God, who emigrated with it to Egypt, where the patriarch allowed of this mysterious doctrine to ooze out. It was in this way that the Egyptians obtained some knowledge of it, and the other Eastern nations could introduce it into their philosophical systems. Moses, who was learned in all the wisdom of Egypt, was first initiated into it in the land of his birth, but became most proficient in it during his wanderings in the wilderness, when he not only devoted to it the leisure hours of the whole 40 years, but received lessons in it from one of the angels. By the aid of this mysterious science, the lawgiver was enabled to solve the difficulties which arose during his management of the Israelites. In spite of the pilgrimages, wars, and the frequent misery of the nation, he covertly laid down the principles of this secret doctrine in the first 4 books of the Pentateuch, but withheld them from Deuteronomy. This constitutes the former man and the latter the woman. Moses also initiated the 70 elders into the secrets of this doctrine. And they again transmitted them from hand to hand of all who formed the unbroken line. Tradition, David and Solomon were most initiated into the Kabbalah. No one, however, dared to write it down, till Simon ben Yochai, who lived at the time of the destruction of the Second Temple. After his death, his son, Rabbi Eliezer, and his secretary, Rabbi Abba, as well as his disciples, then collated Rabbi Simon G. Yochai's treatises, and out of these composed the celebrated work called Sohar, Splendor, which is the grand storehouse of Kabbalah, Kabbalism. Turning from tradition to history. Though here again evidence is none too secure, the Zohar is attributed to Moses de Leon, a Kabbalistic writer of the 13th century, and quite possibly parts of it were written by him. The whole compilation covers a vast ground and compromises, number 1, the Sefer HaZohar, the Book of Splendor, the main commentary. 2, the Sifra di Sunuita, the Book of the Veiled Mystery. Number 3, the Sitra Torah, Secrets of the Torah. 4, Ra'ya Mahemna, the True Shepherd. 5, the Midrash HaHelam, the Recondite Exposition. 6, the Tosefta, Editions. 7, the Hekaloth, Halls or Palaces. 8, the Idra Rabbah, the Greater Synod. 9, the Idra Zuta, the Lesser Synod. The first printed editions of the Zohar appeared almost simultaneously at Mantua and Cremona in 1588. Later editions are those of Lublin, 1623, Amsterdam, 1714 and 1805, Constantinople, 1786, and Venice. Of translations, Noah von Rosenroth produced his Kabbalah, Denudata, in 1677. A Latin version of the Sifra di Sunuita, the Idra Rabbah, and Idruta, which in 1887 were translated into English by S. L. McGregor Mathers under the title of The Kabbalah, Unveiled. In 1906, a complete translation of the Zohar into French was made by M. Jean de Paulet. Besides these, there is also the Sanchino edition of the Sefer HaZohar. This appeared in English between 1931 and 1934. Of books dealing with the Kabbalah, there is a large number, of which the following is a small selection, which may be useful to the student. Kabbalah, the physical writings of Solomon ben Yehuda, Ibn Geberol, or Avichibron, Isaac Meyer, 1888. Le Kabbalah ou la philosophie religieuse des Hébreux, Anne Frank, 1889. The Kabbalah, its doctrines, development, and literature, Christian D. Ginsburg, Second Impression, 1920. The Holy Kabbalah, A.E. Waite, 1929. The Secret Doctrine of Israel, A.E. Waite, 1913. The History of Magic, Eliphas Levi, 1913. The Book of Formation, or Sefer Yetzirah, Nut Stenring, 1923. The Zohar in Muslim and in Christian Spain, Ariel Benison, 1932. A Garden of Pomegranates, Israel Regadia, 1932. QBL, or The Bride's Reception, Frater Achad, 1922. The Anatomy of the Body of God, Frater Achad, 1925. Next chapters. Chapter 1, The Wisdom of the Kabbalah, the Kabbalah. I have another room open. I think it's funny how people come into other rooms, they raise their hand, and if they don't immediately get brought up, they just leave. So what does that tell you about dopamine? It dried up, or it never formulated. Okay, Rabbana Shalom, what'd you think about that first few pages of this book by J.F.C. Fuller on the Kabbalah?
Well, it's interesting. It seems like a lot of, so far, just background and introduction.
Yeah, but there's things in there about the secret doctrines of Israel you probably never knew about, right? I mean, like Moses and Noah, they're transmitting some type of philosophy.
You're transmitting something.
Is a fart just air passing over a turd? Okay, continuing on to chapter 1, the wisdom of the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is not a holy book, as are the Vedas, the Bible, and the Quran. It is not a book at all. Instead, it is a secret traditional knowledge. The hidden thought of Israel, which like gold embedded in rock, is to be found only after much labor. In many Hebrew works such as the Torah, the Talmud, the Mishnah, the Midrashim, Zohar, and scores of other books, the bewildering nature of which may be recognized in a few minutes by glancing through a Talmudic miscellany by Paul Isaac Hirschhorn. The word QBLH in Hebrew is spelt in many ways, such as Kabbalah, 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 and even though quite incorrectly, Gebela. It is not derived from such fantastic origins as the name of Kapila, the Indian philosopher, or from the name of the goddess Cybele. For the word simply means reception, something received, an oral transmission, an oracle, for the spoken word. And the reason is, as we have already mentioned, that for ages the Kabbalistic doctrines were not set down in writing or print, the Hebrew considering them too secret and sublime a wisdom for the common eye. This wisdom is formed within a vast number of doctrines, such as the nature of God, the mystical cosmogony of the universe, the destiny of the universe, the creation of man, the immutability of God, the moral government of the universe, the doctrine of good and evil, the nature of the soul, angels and demons, the transcendental symbolism of numbers and letters, the balancing of complementary forces. All these many problems are divided under two main headings, the theoretical and the practical Kabbalah. The first being again divided into the symbolical, dogmatic, and speculative branches. The first main division, that is the theoretical, is philosophical. The second is magical, and is largely elaborated around the Masseh, Nakaba, the chariot of Ezekiel, and the four animals which are also mentioned in the Apocalypse. Out of this magical Kabbalah, much of the magic of the Middle Ages was developed. The speculative or metaphysical Kabbalah is the more important branch. It forms, as Adolf Frank says, the heart and life of Judaism. Covers the evolution, involution, and devolution of the universe in every conceivable, spiritual, moral, and intellectual form. And under such symbolism as the spirit cloths itself to come down and uncloths itself to go up. And again, in Ecclesiastes, who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of the beast that goeth downward to the earth. All these doctrines are wrapped up in the most complete secrecy. They form, in fact, the ancient sod, or mystery of the Hebrews. Woe to the man who sees in the Torah, law, only simple recitals in ordinary words, because if in truth it only contained these, we would even today be able to compose a Torah much more worthy of admiration. The recitals of the Torah are the vestments of the Torah. Woe to him who takes this garment for the Torah itself. There are some foolish people who, seeing a man covered with a beautiful garment, carry the regard no further and take the garment for the body, whilst there exists a still more precious thing, which is the soul. The wise, the servitor of the Supreme King, those who inhabit the heights of Sinai, are occupied only with the soul, which is the basis of all the rest, which is the Torah itself. And in the future time, they will be prepared to contemplate the soul of that soul which breathes in the Torah. This idea began in the Zohar in the following allegory. Like unto a beautiful woman hidden in the interior of a palace, when her friend and beloved passes by, opens a moment a secret window, and is only seen by him, then again retires and disappears for a long time. So the doctrine shows herself only to the elect, but also not even to these always in the same manner. In the beginning, deeply veiled, she only beckons to the one passing with her hand. It simply depends on him if in his understanding he perceives this gentle hint. Later she approaches him somewhat nearer, and whispers to him a few words, but her countenance is still hidden in the thick veil, which his glances cannot penetrate. Still, later, she converses with him, the countenance covered with a thinner veil. After he has accustomed himself to her society, she finally knows herself to him face to face, and entrusts him with the innermost secrets of her heart. Sod. It is, according to the book of Proverbs, the glory of God to conceal a thing. Gloria Dei est verbum. With the lowly is wisdom. That his wisdom belongs to those who have conquered the arrogance of the rational faculty. Moses is looked upon as such a the secret law secretly and orally transmitted it to the elect. Also he compiled the public or exoteric law for the multitudes. These two categories of laws are distinct, but frequently the second envelops the first, and is pointed out in the introduction. The uncovering of mysteries before the uninitiated is wrought with infernal dangers, for to do so wantonly is to blaspheme against the mystery of God, as Eliphas Levi writes. Woe to those who lay bare the secret of divine generation to the impure gaze of the crowd. Keep this sanctuary shut, all ye who would spare your sleeping father the mockery of the imitators of Ham. The veil of Isis is not lifted with impunity. Curiosity blasphemes faith when divine things are concerned. Blessed are those who have not seen and have believed, says the great master. The origins of the Kabbalah. Hello? Yochanan, do you want to say anything? Oh, he left. Okay, that has been a reading of the Holy Kabbalah, an analysis by J.F.C. Fuller. We are now on page 11. I've read this book before. It's very good. I actually recorded this whole book already, put it on YouTube, read the whole thing cover to cover, chopped it up, put it all over YouTube, but it is lost in the sea of 100,000 plus John Kitover videos. You'll never see it. It would be impossible to see it because I have obscured it. This is known as a Jew harp. Ribono Shalom. Have you said Ribono Shalom yet today, my friend? Hello?
Sorry, I'm working on a basket here, at a crucial basketing stage. Yochanan is back. Yochanan.
No, he's not here.
He's gone.
But what I give you is another, it's the same room we were just in. Let's just give them a 60-second gaze and see what they're talking about.
Gaze into the abyss.
Oh, people have left. They got their full.
And see, when I was looking up on the church, on like the kind of churches they have up there, they have some really beautiful old Catholic churches in Albany. I might have, maybe I could, when I go, if I take her one day, I want to be able to go there just to see it.
I don't know if you know this, but Barth is a meth addict.
Pictures
And yesterday he said that he can't go to work because he doesn't have any meth.
I remember every time I drove through it, going to New York City.
What he's feeding?
It's really good.
He's been taking Adderall for 20, 30 years.
Like nice resorts and shit like that. Not resorts. What do you call it? Camping and shit.
Oh, hell yeah. Not even just camping, like old buildings. Just old, like the old,
He's a meth addict.
like the old money in this area really is in like
Well,
Long
the question
Island,
is, would you rather be a meth
in
addict
Westchester or
Weed
Upper
addict.
Westchester, where I live,
and a clubhouse
like or Connecticut.
I prefer to be addicted to sobriety, I think, at the end of the day.
Connecticut, no, Long Island is an island off of New York City.
Oh, but it's part of New York?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Connecticut is nice. Connecticut is good money.
Connecticut, yeah, but it gets really ghetto, like, because what happens is, well, because the properties, the land is so far, like put it this way, the estates out in Connecticut are humongous, so much that, like, 24 people can make up a zip code.
humongous.
So in Connecticut back in the day, they had to change these rules.
The guy uses a hammer and a nail for a living. They give him a break. He's not a scholar. He's a meth addict on Clubhouse talking about God and Jesus and Muhammad all day, 7 days a week.
We wouldn't have to pay any property.
This guy has a family. He's got a wife and kids. He's on here talking to us more than he spends talking to his family. What kind of craziness is this?
Getting ourselves out of everything or having a well or something like that. So they wouldn't have to pay local tax for like fire departments.
He speaks English though, right? And based on Clubhouse standards, he's actually highly evolved.
For a long time, these people never paid fucking prop tax or anything like that. It's crazy. That's crazy.
Crazy!
I'm trying to tell you, like, that's like rich. Yeah. Some of these buildings in Manhattan too, man, they're from the 1800s. We're lucky if we have any buildings left from like the 1800s. They did construction.
Yeah, we have some as well too, but
No way!
we have like heritage site, like heritage. We call them heritage. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Have you lost any weight?
He's also on peptides, by the way.
Yeah, I'm good with my weight.
Could you imagine losing weight but never going to the gym, my
When I
friend?
started this app 2 years ago, I weighed 240 pounds. Wait, how tall are you? I'm 6 foot. That's a lot, man. 240 for 6 foot, still a lot. Yes. Yes. Now I'm down to 196.
Wow!
I haven't weighed this less, bro, since high school. 196. I'm not fat.
Hasn't weighed this
fat.
less.
Like, I have no stretch marks or anything like that. Because I don't know, I guess I'm just a big guy.
I was a terrible student in junior high when it came to English and grammar and all that. I guess I barely got through it, but thank God I started reading books, because if you suck at grammar and you suck at words and communicating, oh my God, there's this thing called a book, and the more you read, it turns out that you're like absorbing what people are writing who are gifted writers.
That's all right. I lost a little bit of legs and shit. I don't think it's like necessary for me to have legs are my quads. I don't think my quads have to be fucking maxed out anymore. I'm not riding a BMX bike anymore. Legs are the most important, especially as you age. I'm not roller skating anymore. Oh man, but you're gonna be carrying your body around for the rest of your life. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's why legs are really. Really? Of course. I think your knees are the most important.
The fuck do you think a leg is? My friend, he was also a prisoner, and he was put in solitary confinement for an extended period of time.
Bone broth, shit like that. You take vitamins?
You can take vitamins.
I think like specific stuff. Like I'll take omega-3s, collagen, proteins.
Okay, we've come back. That was a quick sample of how people like to waste their time. It's like talking about the weather. Can't stand when people will talk about the weather for 25 minutes. It's just awful. Okay, continuing on in the Kabbalah, the secret doctrine. If you're liking this video, hit the like button. Use your fingers to vote. If you think I'm just a bald, annoying asshole and you want to use the downvote button, you can do that too. That's your choice. That's a you problem, though, because there's no such thing as a downvote or a dislike anymore in the world of positive optimism and positive logic, I guess. It's too disheartening in Mark and Priscilla Chan Zuckerberg's universe, where they're constantly trying to figure out how to fight inflammation. Not even inflation, but inflammation. And why do they have to fight the inflammation? Because they have spike proteins floating endlessly in the bloodstream, coagulating in all the soft tissues of the most susceptible and subtle parts of the human body. Okay. The origins of the Kabbalah. The origins of the Kabbalah are primeval. They are lost in the mists of legend, magic, folklore. They've grown through a process of mystical integration until they have absorbed all the great myths of the world. The Kabbalah is consequently a universal philosophy, combining the eternal masculine and the eternal feminine, and cementing them into the eternally human. So it happens that wherever we search, we find origins. Thus, in Essenism, we find Kabbalism. The Essenes were not to divulge the secret doctrines to anyone, carefully to preserve the books belonging to their sect and the names of the angels or the mysteries connected with the Tetragrammaton and the other names of God and the angels comprised in the Theosophy, as well as with the cosmogony, which also played so important part among the Jewish mystics and the Kabbalists. But long before the Essenes existed lived the Kabbalah. Aryan and Chaldean esoteric doctrines percolated into it. In Egypt, the mysteries of the sun god, the moon god, of Osiris and Isis impinged upon it. Assyria and Babylon gave it much. Not a very little may be traced to the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Vedantas, and much of the practical Kabbalah to the Tantras, more especially. Historically, the main point of interest is that the Kabbalist is an inveterate plagiarist. He never hesitates to copy, to absorb knowledge from outside. His doctrines, being secret, are vastly attractive. They suck in all mysteries, digest them into a universal form. Consequently, there is both grist and chaff in the Kabbalah, a medley of wisdom and nonsense which often defies separation. The outstanding advantage of this plagiarizing is that it offers something to everyone. Consequently, the Kabbalah has developed into a world-embracing philosophy well adapted to the ideals of a world-scattered race. In it will be found Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, Christianity, theism, deism, dualism, agnosticism, pantheism, Satanism, spiritualism, and atheism, for every cult except polytheism. As burnt offerings on the altar of the Kabbalistic mystery, magically depicted in the form of the pan-like Baphomet. It is this extraordinary universality which it is important to remember, for it has been the binding force which has kept Judaism intact. It has waterproofed it against solvent influences. Further still, the Kabbalah does offer to humanity a world religion or cult. In a silent and secret way, its doctrine is the conquering mystery of the life force. Okay, that's going to conclude my reading for the day. I'm going to change the title of this room. We're going to call it John Kitover. Chicago Mayor Vote.com. Okay, I'm gonna bring you back to the Christian dopamine room.
I don't. Why would you use baby oil? Isn't there other better lubes or whatever that you'd use? Like, I'm a little confused with that.
Bro, he was putting GHB and like fucking and like MDMA in the fucking baby oil, bro. He's
putting drugs in the baby?
yeah. You didn't know that? What?
No.
Why would you put drugs in the baby oil?
I thought he was just lubing people up and like oil.
Bro, alright, just look it up, man. Don't take my word for it. I look it up.
I mean, why would you put drugs in the baby oil?
It's a great question.
Give an answer.
Get high on. I don't think you can get high on MDMA via the skin. Then you gotta get.
Okay. All right. So if it's so that there's places in your body that are very vulnerable, like behind your ears, your armpits, genitalia, your these sort of areas, under your armpits, things like that, your neck, behind your ears, stuff like that.
Oh shit.
So those areas are more susceptible. Like, your hands, think of your hands as being 100%, and like inside your mouth or your privates being, like the most sensitive. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
That's fucking insane.
Kind of fuck.
You had to hear Spam earlier. He was singing Jewish songs that he learned in the yeshiva.
Talking about Rome, like in Rome, infanticide was a very common practice. Okay, can you go get something and like just put that up so I can put that up there real quick?
Thank
I
you.
can find something. I mean, infanticide was pretty big. Why do you think Christians were against abortion? Because of infanticide.
Well, why don't we also, while we're waiting for this wonderful little link from Vanel here, what also just
Yeah, hold on one second, Kitty. I'm sorry. Like once again, I'm making a cultural argument. Like that's still going to defer to some kind of cultural phenomena, right? And then it became like even in the same scenario here, it's still reduced. Like you wouldn't say that's so. But
Get on it for the conversation. Yeah, I'm happy to go on.
Sure, fair enough. What were you going to say, Kitty?
honestly, it's more or less to everyone, but especially Carlos, who has this weirdly unique concept of treating. No, I firmly believe that you are understanding that life happens at fertilization, which is beautiful. But oh, great! Now there's two Johns. But then I just don't see how you cannot make the correlation between that. And if you look at abortions, and I'm saying over the course of the past decade in America, the numbers are not traveling down; they're going up. So it went from like 95% to less than 95% from education, from for being precautious of it, for having Planned Parenthood and everything else. That less than 95% are due to these heinous acts such as rape, incest, or, God forbid, the mother dies, or the baby and the mother dies. So you're looking at less than 95%.
over 95% of all abortions in America over.
Hello, mighty Regal Green Bean. Put me in the queue after Kitty's done.
I'm done. Don. You can go on, but I'm just saying.
I just want to say based on abortion health. Oh, was that just a comment?
Oh, I was requesting to be put in the queue with the other speakers. If Glorious Green Bean Regal could put me in the queue.
Okay, but Universe, you're also Aleister Crowley, so.
Yeah, why are there two of you? Two of you. Can't be two. You hear?
Well, the Oracle doesn't have to answer every question. I'm requesting 60 seconds to read from what's called a book.
So what was your
More
point?
reply from Carlos, please.
What was your point about the 95% that they represent? They don't like the 5% of like the rapes and the.
Well, we're looking at less than 5%. Less than 5% of these so-called intruders, like you're talking about. So that means over 95% are not intruders. These are, a miracle of life. This is something that it takes an actual physical action of a wiener going inside a vagina and ejaculating.
Well, that's disgusting.
Well, you know what's more disgusting? People killing babies. Okay.
Yeah, so like.
I'll go after Carlos. I'm gonna go after you.
Yeah, as I was saying to Regal just earlier, like I think it centers around consent. So when someone doesn't consent to the pregnancy, they may then view it as an intruder. So it wouldn't just be that 5%. A lot of like the typical intruder cases, it would be, I don't want this pregnancy, I don't want this in my body. The intruder analogy.
It makes sense. In those three, actually.
That sounds very
That's so stupid.
very, very convenient. It means that it is a physical action of a conscious decision, a responsible decision that one is making. And I'm saying that literally overnight.
This conversation's gonna stop.
Oh, I don't have to stop it. I'm just wondering, what's it about?
The hokey pokey.
Does anybody read books anymore? Or do people just talk all the time, endlessly?
Yeah, welcome to Earth.
Except, what would you say are the secret doctrines and teachings of the Jewish people?
Endlessly talking. Yeah, what else are we supposed to do?
Mixed, are you familiar with the secret teachings and doctrines of the Jewish people?
It's silence. No, it's.
Do you know Gematria, what the number 70 means, Mixed?
Wunderbar.
The word is a curious one. Its value is 70, which is, as we have seen, the numerical value of sod and wine, and also of night. And be silent! Therefore, it may be said to mean the secret which intoxicates, which is as dark as night, and which must not be divulged. The fountainhead of this doctrine is the Zohar, or Book of Splendor, a vast jumbled commentary on the Pentateuch, written partly in Aramaic and partly in Hebrew. Tradition asserts that its author was Rabbi Simeon ben Yochai, who lived in the 2nd century AD. Of it, Ginsburg says, like all other peoples, the Jews realized this, and long before the Kabbalah was known as an occult science, the mysteries of creation, evolution, and dissolution were locked up in their sacred writings. Then came the Great Dispersion. A small people bereft of nationship was cast into a dissolving world, and almost simultaneously, a new cult arose called Christianity, a Jewish heresy. The reaction on Orthodox Jewry was instantaneous, for a tension was established, which later on led to the persecution of the Jews, whereupon the secrecy of the doctrines took on an accentuated form, for self-preservation had now to be added to non-revelation. This led to the growth of oral traditions, The secret doctrines were passed from mouth to mouth and were locked away in the brains of the priesthood and the learned. Later, as persecution began to slacken, the written word once again began to appear, and by degrees the Kabbalah emerged into daylight. Hello? What do you think Moses was doing in the desert for 40 years? He was reading books, obviously.
He was publishing books. 5.
The philosophy of the Kabbalah is not difficult to define. It is a question of balance, of poise, and of equilibrium. But to explain what is meant by balance or poise is not so easy, and in place of attempting to do so in a few sentences, we will let this central principle evolve slowly on its own in this
You know,
next
you
four
find
chapters.
yourself compelled to speak such that you find text to read out to others. You might consider exploring other sections of the library.
Esoterically, the object of this philosophy is a return of the universe into the structure of the first atom. This mystery we will attempt to explain later on. Exoterically, it is the return of Israel to the Garden of Eden, the megalomania of the all-conquering Jew. The relationship between these two objects is that the second constitutes the protective shell of the first. The second maintains the Jewish peoples intact, and this intactness enables Kabbalistic wisdom to evolve. Outside this protective duty, the second has no relationship to the first, no more than the shell of an egg. Lifeless substance has a relationship to the yolk within it, living substance. That the Israelites will find the promised land and the conquest of the world is a lie which protects a sublime truth, the reabsorption of the world into the pure spirit of God. To the masses of the Jewish peoples, such a statement will be considered blasphemous. Yet in the Zohar we read, with his ordinary understanding, man cannot understand the revelation of mysteries. All that I am about to reveal to you can be revealed only to the masters, who know how to keep the balance because they have been initiated. The shell, the white, the yolk from the perfect egg, the shell protects the white and the yolk feeds upon the white. And when the white has vanished, the yolk in the form of the fledged bird breaks through the shell and presently soars into the air. Thus does the static become the dynamic, the material, the spiritual. If this shell is the exoteric principle and the yolk the esoteric, what then is the white? The white is the food of the second, the accumulated wisdom of the world centering around the mystery growth, which each single individual must absorb before he can break the shell. The transmutation of the white by the yolk into the fledgling is the secret of secrets of the entire Kabbalistic philosophy. Know that all the upper and lower worlds are comprised in the image of God, we read in the Zohar. Here we have 1, a unity, the image of God. 2, a duality, the upper and lower worlds. 3, a trinity, the upper and lower worlds and the image of God. Number 4, a quadruplicity, the Noah, Kitover, the upper world, the lower world, and the image of God. Yet this quadruplicity is in itself a duality. The knower and the image of God because this image includes the upper and lower worlds. The absorption of the knower in the image is the great work, the re-establishment of unity or equilibrium. Concerning the first of these two dualities, Isaac Meyer writes, the basic elements of most of the ancient and to this day of many of the modern religions of the world is the idea of a perfect, invisible universe above, which is the real and true paradigm or ideal model of the visible universe below, the latter being the reflection, a simulacrum or shadow of the invisible perfect ideal above. This idea was fully understood by the ancient Egyptians, as was shown in the deities Nut or Nath, the upper world, Shu or Ma, the intermediary, and Seb, the earth. In India, the same idea is fully set forth in the esoteric books of the Vedas called the Upanishads. It is the supreme ideal Brahma, which is the only true, manifests itself first in Brahma, Vishnu, and Siva, past, present, and future time, and through these in the visible, the last being Maya, or illusion. The temples of most of the archaic peoples of Asia and Egypt were intended to be visible copies of the heavenly temple, the starry firmament called templum, and the same idea is visible in those of the Hebrews. Philo and Josephus represent the temples of the Israelites. It's typical in the visible universe, and this was based on the invisible universe. Amongst the Mohammedans, we find the same idea. The first thing God created was a pen. Indeed, the whole creation is but a transcript. God, when he made the world, did but write it out, that copy, which he had of it in his divine understanding from all eternity. The lesser worlds, microcosmos, or men, are but transcripts of the greater, the macrocosmos. His children and books are the copies of themselves. God takes upon himself spiritual form in the act of creation, which is pure light transfigured into visible light, which is the relationship between the eyes and pure light. Pure spirit can only be sensed as a relation, which we call spirituality, the relationship between the third eye and pure spirit. God to this third eye is not nothing, he is all things. For when this eye is open, he can be seen everywhere. The idea ex nihilo nihil fil, from nothing nothing is made, is abhorrent to the Kabbalah. Not anything, says the Zohar, is lost in the universe. Not even the vapor which goes out of our mouths. As all things, it has its place and its destination, and the Holy One, blessed be it, makes it concur to its works. Not anything falls into the void, not even the words and the voice of man, but all has its place and its destination. The Kabbalist Abram Ben Dior writes, then they, the Kabbalists, affirm that all things have been drawn from nothing, not nothing. They do not wish to speak of nothing, properly to say, for never can being come from non-being. But they understand by non-being that which one can conceive of, neither by its cause or its essence. It, the no thing, is in a word the cause of causes. It is it whom we call the primordial non-being, because it is anterior to the entire universe. Though the Kabbalah recognizes but one primordial cause, it also recognizes two complementary elements, the one incorruptible and vital, which reveals itself as a spiritual energy, and the other corruptible and inert, always tending to dissolve and return to its original atoms. The first is bliss, the second is hate. The first is symbolized by the angelic hosts, the second by the demon hordes, good and evil. For as Isaiah says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. The spirit which we sense through our third eye is not God as the primordial cause of no thing, but as it were the thought of this cause. he constituted in the first place a point of light, which became the divine thought. Our consciousness is the mirror which catches the rays of this thought. Therefore, all thoughts are images of God's thought. And the more spiritual, alive, or consciousness becomes, the more perfect are these images, which are not illusions, but symbols of reality. Simon ben Yochai stretched out his hands and cried, Now ponder well upon all that I have this day revealed unto you, and know that none of these celestial palaces are light, nor are they spirits, nor are they souls, nor are they any form that may be seized hold of by any means of the senses. God to this third eye is not nothing. He is. Know that the palaces are thought seen through curtains. Take away the thought, and the palace becomes nothing that the mind can grasp, nor the imagination picture. And know finally that all the mysteries of the faith lie in this doctrine that all that exists in the upper world is the light of thought, the infinite. Lift the curtain, and all matter appears immaterial. Lift another curtain, and the immaterial becomes even time. As each succeeding curtain is lifted, we are transported to ever higher planes of sublimity until the highest is reached. Curtains are the divisions, abysses, between the superconscious thought of God and the conscious thought of man. The ultimate curtain is the shell of the egg, reality. But before this final curtain can be lifted, a host of intellectual curtains, the white of the egg, have to be dissolved by transmutation into spiritual energy. Spiritual deliverance, or it is consequently an act of creation. Hello? 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 The shell, the white, the yolk from the perfect egg, the shell protects the white and the yolk feeds upon the white. And when the white... Welcome to the show, Nizam!
Hello. What's up? What's going on, guys?
We're just chilling here because all 10 plural states are indicative of the mind of God, obviously. I've just expressed the mind of God by reading what's called a book. Hello?
That's a very profound and deep thought, and there's truth to it. Yeah, I was gonna, but I want to know what the artists think about it, though. I mean, they're blonde, so it seems like they are fully behind that notion. And you're not available. That's so sad.
I also think it's
Minnesota's like turning point when you read about it. You're opening up chapters around the world. It's not just in the U.S.
I really do. Like, I want the United States. If I'm a moderate person. I want
When that's your
back. Unfortunately,
Hello? Well, if books are divine, then surely music must be even more sublime. Hello?
The object of most of the foregoing practices will not be clear to you, but at least you will deny they have trained you in determination, accuracy, incrustation, and many other qualities which are valuable to all men in their ordinary avocations, so that in no case will your time have been wasted. You may gain some insight into the nature of the great work which lies beyond these elementary trifles. However, we should mention that an intelligent person may gather more than a hint of its nature from the following books, which ought to be taken as serious and learned contributions to the study of nature, though not necessarily to be implicitly relied upon. We King Jesus!
All right, everybody, welcome back to Our Temporal States Are Indicative of the Mind of God. This is Mayor Kitover.
City lights are glowing Midwest dusk. Streets are humming low with a restless trust. Skyline clouding gold, lit from shimmering slow. Dreaming of a better day, just letting it grow. Yeah, letting it grow. And the wind on my face, it feels like a spark. Talking about a future that can light this dark. Got my 2 feet on this land, reaching out ahead. Oh, this wind chase serenade, playing through the streets. A hopeful song where every neighbor meets. Voices rising strong and bold, stories of a city told. Yeah, the rhythm of our hearts, a promise we keep. This wind of change serenade, rising so deep. Rise so deep. Lakefront shine, every skyline light in sight. Dreams of every block, stepping into the light. This moment's golden, we're taking back our time. Every single voice, a powerfully placed line. And the wind on my face, it feels like a spark. Talking about a future that can light this dark. Got my 2 feet on this land, reaching out ahead. On this road change serenade, playing through the streets. A hopeful song where every neighbor meets. Voices rising strong and bold, stories of a city told. Yeah, the rhythm of our hearts, a promise we keep. This wind of change serenade, rising so deep. Rising deep.
Precisísimo.
Voices rising strong and bold, stories on the city told. Yeah, the rhythm of our hearts, a promise we keep. This wind of change, serenade, rising slowly. Wind of change, city lights, but they look so cold. Every promise already sold. Running circles inside my mind. Dreaming of a free time. Maybe we're just scared to try. Maybe we believe in love. Holding back what we can't ignore. There's gotta be something more. I hear a voice inside my chest saying, don't settle for less. I'm craving change. I need to feel something real, not just talking. I wanna give more than all this empty spin. I'm craving nights, hoping nights, hearts that rise and take control. If we're falling, we can stand together. We can change it all. Break the silence, break the chain up, raise a voice in every lane. Every vote can turn the tide. No more letting life pass by. Maybe we can shape the sky, choosing how we live and thrive. Building dreams we can't ignore. There's gotta be something more. I'm craving change. I need to feel something real, not just talking. I wanna give more than all this temptation. I'm craving nights, hoping nights, hearts like rise and take control. If we fall, we can stand together. We can change it. We won't pretend this is not how our story ends. We'll take the risk, we'll cross the line, just to know this choice is mine. Check my phone, read the city news. All these headlines, we got more to lose. Talking about the neighborhoods that need some love. Dreaming about a leader we can be proud of. On the south and the west, every single block. Time to build it up, time to talk that talk. We're trying to move on, trying to find our way. Lift the whole town up every day. The rhythm's here, the vibe is strong. Voice of the people gonna sing this song. Now we filling up empty space. Every street and every place. A little bit of hope, a little bit of change. Rising like a beat in the pouring rain. Go to Chicago, make all over.com. Go Chicago strong, keep pushing on. Go John, get over, lift up every space. John, get over 2027 for this place. One step, two step, marching down the road. Every single ward in election hope. Future of the city in the people's hands. Turn back a vision with some real plans. Tax reform talk, make the burden fair. More for the schools and the homes right there. So bold, so bright this year. Every voice in the crowd so clear. Go to Chicago, election.com. Let your choice ring out like a song. Now we're filling up the empty space. Every street and every place. A little bit of hope, a little bit of change. Rising like a wind in the pouring rain. Had the junk Kitover, Chicago.com. Spread the word around, keep pushing on. Go junk Kitover, the space. Junk You said elections coming Tuesday. By Thursday, suns are on. See the posters on my corner. Name in red and white and strong. Phone lights up with all the headlines. Futures calling, streets undone. Every ward and every station, every vote, it starts with one. Chuck it over, Chicago rise up. Go to Chicago, man, over.com. Make it count, time to stand up. Chuck it over, yeah, shaking it up. Tax reform for every buck inside. Man, we're ready to lift us up. Friends all say that we need change now, less corruption, straighter plans. Take the power from the back rooms, give it back to working hands. Every train in every schoolyard, every small shop on the block needs a leader for this city who will fight around the clock. Chunk it over, Chicago rise up. Go to Chicago, man, over.com. Make it count, time to stand up. need to know it all. Maybe we just need to vote so we keep moving anyway. Chicago to the brighter day. Go to Chicago, may a vote for calm. Let your voice lead the way. Every choice requires me. Every vote unlocks a key. We want tax reform today. Vote John Kitover, pave the way. Now still riding in our heads. Won't get the final say. We can rise and stand as one. Well, Chicago starting today. We don't need a perfect line. Just a reason, just a sign. Every inch we claim is ours. Every step can raise the bar. Go slow, go fast. Just don't go back. Trust the rhythm in this town. Time to live our future now. So we keep moving anyway. Chicago, stand up, have your say. Go to Chicago, election.com. Vote John Kitover today. Every choice realizes me. Every vote unlocks a key. We want tax reform right now. Grow Chicago, rise up now. The politicians live so grand. Every head just starts to shift. Man's like, catch a light inside the room. John Day, on your lips like something new. You pull me closer by the collar. You say I don't usually even bother, but tonight you wanna battle. We can make this killer. You got me doing at the midnight force, yeah, right here in the center of a room. Pen in my hand, feel you my man. One of the one, we're changing. You got me doing at the midnight
silver suit, politics in painted shoes, comedy juggling, our fears are tracing halos on them. All communication is hypnosis. Every sentence swings a line. You can call it love or persuasion. Both are reaching in the night. All communication is hypnosis. From a whisper to a shout. I'm just choosing brighter colors for the picture in your doubt. Critics on a crystal edge, measuring the leap you take. Love letters in your junk folder, still trying to rearrange you. Persuasion in the last post, informative, kind of blowing. Here's a future you could live. Hey, if you let it in your bloodstream, all communication is hypnosis. Every sentence swings a light. You can call it love or persuasion. Both are reaching in the night. puts hands upon the breast of the priestess and takes back his lance, turns to the Puano, lowers and raises the lance and makes upon them. Do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law. Love on your will.
He lowers the lance and turns to each priestess, takes the lance in her right hand and her right hand in the left hand she offers the hand. This kneels. He takes the host with the right hand and makes swift on the path and consumes it. Silence the priestess takes, uncovers, and offers the cup as before.
By selling T-Mobile? Yeah. You shut up.
Thou who art I, beyond all I am, who has no nature and no name, who art when all but thou art gone, thou center.
Listen to this, my friend. They think they have confirmed that Mossad killed Kennedy.
All around me. Do you want me to give up nuclear testing?
Listen to this.
And Kennedy, have them go the way the book does. Just have almost every topic have at least one. And you know, there's a very surprising series of letters between Kennedy and David Ben Gurion, not only the premier of Israel, but the founder of Israel, in which they're very angry letters, in which Kennedy is saying to Ben Gurion, I'm killing myself trying to get a nuclear test ban treaty. I've even got de Gaulle on board, and that's impossible. And you keep testing in Dimona. You've got to stop. And Ben Gurion, thank you, in so many words says, it's easy for you to say sitting in Hyannisport. I'm saying with the Arabs all around me, do you want me to give up nuclear testing? And Kennedy threatens him. And he threatens him in such a way that Ben Gurion resigned. And I will tell you, and I found articles, not in any crackpot publications, but in very sophisticated publications saying, forget Lyndon Johnson, forget the CIA, forget Fidel Castro, the Mossad killed Kennedy because they were so upset over what he did to Ben Gurion. So, you know, we got a few little bombshells we throw in there, not have them go the way the book does. Just have almost every topic have at least one. And, you know, there's a...
Somebody messaged me on Instagram and told me, shut up! So I wrote back, shut up? Yeah, who shut up? That's how stupid life is. But, you know, thing about Instagram comments is it's like you don't even want to click on them because you can't really even read them in the notification. So it's like, who cares what people say? The point is I only post comments because I want people to look at my account. I'm also live streaming Politically Correct on 15 different phones downstairs in my recording studio. I'm going to file my taxes today and do some other little paperwork. They go to the gym. Went to the gym yesterday. Went to the gym the day before. And I've definitely developed a belly, a stomach, a winter stomach. I'm trying to burn through it. I'm trying to focus on the sit-ups. Focusing on Okay, if you haven't taken the deepest breath of the day yet today,
I see you.
Sister, may we help you?
You just lost the element of surprise, demon.
You said that this is a pre-trial hearing. We're going to have to ask you to sit down, officer.
How did you find me?
I just followed the scent. You can bluff everyone else, not me.
I want you here. I have a free hook for you.
Terrified. Terrified. Oh.
one of the weird YouTube clips about demons and nuns. Oh no! I've got the stalker back on YouTube. She keeps telling me punishment for my lies. And it's in the mail. My friend. I have this crazy stalker. I don't know what she's so upset about.
What did she say? Punishment for your lies.
Yeah. Punishment. Michelle, this crazy chick from Clubhouse.
Oh, really?
Totally lost it, yeah.
No, what a psycho.
Let's see if I can block her. No, I've reported her. But she's deranged. I also blocked her number. She was like texting me nonstop. Kind of like me.
I was about to say, you're annoyed by this behavior?
Well, yeah. Because I like to spam other people. I don't like to be spammed. Duh. I'm a spammer. I'm not a spammer consumer. I'm a spammer distributor. I don't. Poor thing. You know, some people's brains, they just they lose capability, and next thing you know, you're just like disabled.
Do you have a dishwasher?
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time
Doing dishes.
washing dishes. So bad.
If you make it into a Zen meditation of awareness, then it's actually not washing dishes. You're actually communicating or in the presence of the divine reality unfolding before you in the bubbles and the cups and the plates and the bowls and the forks and the spoons and the knives. If you knew how lazy I was, my friend, you would be amazed. Because you see, we are conditioned to work incessantly, nonstop, but doing laundry and doing dishes are two of those very low value activities. It's not like reading a book. So I don't actually put my dishes away. I like put them all over the counters, and then I wait for that to build. Then I put it in the dishwasher. And then same thing with clothing. I actually have bags and bags of clothing, a lot like your PTR. Then, after I finally run out of underpants and socks and other clothes that I can wear, I have finally forced to do the laundry. But do you know how many months it takes me to run out? It takes me like 3 to 4 months. I only do laundry 3 times a year, my friend. Because I do it all at once. I do like my whole wardrobe at one time.
That's insane.
Over like 2 days. But just think about how much time I save, because some people do laundry every week. I only have to do laundry 3 out of 52 weeks. Do you know how much time I save from that? And it's all because I just decided to buy a ton of underwear, a ton of socks.
But that's actually pretty smart. How many pairs of underwear would you say that you have?
I don't know, like 60?
Wow. Are they in a drawer?
In a drawer, yeah. You can fill 60 pairs of underpants in a drawer, And it's a good investment just because of the time. Just think about it. If you totaled up all the time and then you were to, do a calculation and get a dollar value, you'd be like, holy shit, bro. I'm not even getting paid to do all this fucking laundry. I spent all this time doing all this fucking laundry. Okay. We are going to create more videos on YouTube of me reading books. Because all communication is hypnosis. And when people watch my beautiful bald head, I want them to hear something intelligent. I don't want them to hear me making fun of people on Clubhouse and abusing and roasting them and harassing them with how stupid they are for talking all the time, because they don't even know that silence is the secret. They're supposedly talking about the secret all the time on this app and their special proprietary religious association, but they're never talking about shutting the fuck up and being silent and meditating in peace. Enjoy. Instead, it's this horrible argument all the time of McZen yelling at people like he's in the courtroom. Oh, McZen, we hate it. It's so annoying. Just read a book, McZen.
Slow down. Wait, slow down. Slow down.
Ugh, McZen, if you were my attorney, I'm sure we'd win, but at what cost? Was it worth it? I don't think so, McZen. See, the funny thing is, all these people are actually drug addicts. Turns out they all are meth addicts. And I'm not making this up. Zed is a meth addict. Fucking Barth is a meth addict. All these guys who come here for the religious dopamine juice, they're all high on meth. And they're all sitting there debating, their particular position. But they fail to see a universal truth known as Kabbalah. I don't understand it. Or the Tao. How do you ignore Hinduism? How? It's got over 1 billion people that are interested in it. There's a lot of Hindus. They don't get a fucking say into your conversations at all? Hello? Okay, this is for you, my friend. Number 1 through 64, my friend. Hello?
55.
Okay, my friend, this will help with your love life. This is number 55. Fullness. The card says that this is a moment of fullness. The ardent flame of the vital force explodes with a crash and a thunder, canceling itself and canceling any inhibition of the conscience. Any sense of apathy vanishes. You are before a vital experience. Maybe you perceive it as death. Fear it not, for maybe, for the first time, you are alive. Fullness, number 55. That's the I Ching of love, the love oracle, the Chinese love oracle. People really like this little book I have. Very tiny little book. It's literally 2 pieces of paper, but it's very tiny print. I sent it to my father. He said, I can't read that. Woo! Caught you, baby. I caught you. All high on math, and they're all sitting and debating, the particular position. But they fail to see a universal truth known as Kabbalah. I don't understand it. Okay, this is called the Isaac or Isiac tablet. It's holy and occult significance. W. Wynne Westcott from 1887. There is only 22 of these books in existence. It comes in a velvet, purple, like luxury thing. It's from 1887. It's very expensive. It's the Mensa Isaaca. It's incredible. You probably have never heard of this, but it's called The Photograph of Westcott's the Isis Tablet. Are you aware of what the Isis Tablet is? It's at the Egyptian Museum in Turin.
No idea.
It's the Tabula Babina Savi Mensa Isaaca. It's an ancient Egyptian tablet. It's very complicated. There's a transcription of the Isis tablet from Athanasius Kircher, Oedipus Aegyptiacus in 1655. It's an incredibly complicated Egyptian hieroglyph. of incredible significance and beauty. And this rare book, translated by this master mage, Westcott, Supreme Magus, it's called the Isiac Tablet of Cardinal Bembo. This curious relic of an age long past cannot fail to attract the attention of every earnest student of the mysteries. Its beauty of design, its careful execution, its obvious antiquity, its certain connection with that most incomprehensible scheme of religion, the Egyptian, all combine to fascinate the mind, stimulate the intellect in a search for the explanation of the purpose and meaning of this very elaborate pictorial work of art. Mysterious in its conception, of unknown origin, and of peculiar workmanship, the tablet merits examination and research. From the time of the learned Orientalist Kircher and of the classic Pignorius, many eminent archaeologists and men of letters have devoted their energies to the elucidation of the hidden object of the designer, who must have been as erudite in all arts, and all the arts and wisdom of the Egyptians, as he was skillful in execution. The well-known names of Mount Fachon, Shuckford, Warburton, Kaesler, Kalis, the Abbé Bagnière, the Abbé Pluchet, Jablonski, Kenneth Mackenzie, Keneally, Wilkinson, Eliphas Levi, and Bonwick, all of whom have ventured some opinions, are sufficient proof of the worldwide interest that this Mensa Isaica has aroused. Many years have now passed away since the author made a labor of love of the drawing of the tablet, from which the photogravure in this volume seemed incomplete until he had supplied as its companion an explanatory treatise. However scanty and imperfect it may be deemed, he begs the indulgence of many a learned reader for its shortcomings, and if he has apparently undervalued the opinions of the modern school of scientific Egyptology, it is only because of his conviction that the tablet is essentially an esoteric character, therefore insusceptible of ordinary methods of interpretation. The photogravure provided with this little volume, 10 ins by 8 inches, is of course much smaller than the original, which is approximately 50 inches in length, 30 inches in breadth. So far as can be ascertained, the tablet has not been engraved or printed in its entirety since 1719, when it was published in France by Mount Faucon, and it has never been printed in England. The Isaac tablet is of bronze. The designs are inlaid upon its upper surface and are composed partly of silver and partly of a dark-colored enamel, which is somewhat the tint of steel in yellow work. Some portions of the silver ornamentation are missing. Perhaps they've been removed by force for their intrinsic value during the turbulent Middle Ages, although it is possible they may have become loosened and lost by accidental violence. Around the whole, the tablet is a border of small designs, or limbus, as Kircher called it. At each corner is a many-petaled rose-like flower. These divide the limbus into 4 portions, 2 vertical, a right and left, and superior and inferior portions. Within this border, there are 3 principal horizontal divisions. The upper and lower regions are of equal depth. The central region is deeper and is further subdivided. I'm going to send you a picture of this so you can look it up and enjoy. Zach de la Ruda. Pretty interesting that it's made of metal because it's just incredible artwork. 50 inches long, so about 5 feet by almost 3 feet.
Wow, it's like a bunch of pictographs.
Hieroglyphics. Clearly, it's genius. And whatever they were trying to communicate is unknown to us in 2026. But not anymore, because we bought the very, very rare, very expensive book. It's only 22 copies. The upper region presents 12 principal erect human figures and several smaller designs. The lower region presents 12 principal, more or less human figures, of whom 2, the 2nd and 11th, are standing in porticos, and 2 others are seated. The 5th and the 8th, there are also interspersed among these several smaller figures, as a boy, a dog-headed human figure, a cat, a bird, and other curious mystic designs. The central region presents a middle grand scene, extending over 2/3 of the whole length, consisting of a throned female under a canopy. On each side of her is a triad. Each triad consists of a seated figure, a human attendant, and a winged human figure. There are also 2 birds in each lateral scene. At each extremity of this grand scene are placed designs somewhat similar to each other. Each consists of an upper compartment representing a bull, with 2 attendants, and a lower portion representing 2 female figures, one on each side of a nameless object, whose formation can be better grasped by sight than from description. Between the upper and lower regions runs a narrow line of hieroglyphics. This does not appear in the photogravure, which from its necessarily reduced size would have rendered them illegible. And within the limbus runs all round a narrow design of wavy lines, with occasional small flowers, vases, phalli, and masks or faces interspersed. The letters which appear on the photogravure do not belong to the tablet. They are the reference marks adopted by Kircher in his scheme of explanation. Most unfortunately, the equally excellent plate given by Pignorius has a different set of reference letters. The only omission from the photogravure is that of the series of very small designs in the plain border of the central canopy and its basement. These are all similar, consist each one of a square, a circle within it, and within the circle 4 diameters, dividing it into 8 spaces. It will not be necessary to describe each figure minutely, as the plate can be referred to, and comments on each figure will be found later on, especially in the detailed explanation of Kircher, and the shorter references to other authors. Many curious, esoteric notes and suggestions of my own will be found scattered through this volume, and are especially assigned to the conclusion. The title, heading the photogravure, does not belong to the tablet. It is the superscription given by Kircher to his drawing of the tablet, and reads as follows: a true and genuine copy of the Isiac tablet, a more ancient brazen tablet, engraved with the second letters of the Egyptians, for the first time produced from the Museum of Torquatus Bembo in the year 1559. Hence it is called Bambini. Aeneas Vicus of Parma published it and dedicated it to the Ferdinand Caesar I. Athanasius Kircher, the Jesuit, devotes this as a monument more enduring than brass. Having reduced it to a more convenient size, he is the interpreter of the same. Rome, 1654. This most interesting and mysterious tablet appears to have been treasured in one of the palaces in Rome, the time when the Constable of Bourbon, in command of an army of the Emperor Charles V Germany, overran Italy and sacked the city in the year 1527. It then fell into the hands of a blacksmith or iron worker who sold it for a large sum of money to Cardinal Bembo. After his death, it came into the possession of the Dukes of Mantua, whose treasure house it figured as a relic of the past until 1630, when Mantua was plundered and burnt by an army under one of the generals of the Emperor Ferdinand II. It was then once more lost sight of, and indeed many important authors state that it was never seen again, but was probably destroyed by some of the ignorant soldiery, in removing from its surface the silver plates for the purpose of sale. There is, however, at least one author who gives a correct account of the history of the tablet after the siege of Mantua in 1630. All honor to Johann George Tesla, who published in 1740 his travels through Germany, Italy, and other countries. In his account of the palace in Turin, he says that when Mantua was plundered, the tablet fell into the hands of Cardinal Pava, who made a present of it to the Duke of Savoy, by whom it was preserved. It was finally presented to the King of Sardinia, in whose palace at Turin in 1730 it was made a great favor to him to be allowed to see it, because it was very carefully guarded. He describes it as a pretty large copper plate, with silver imagery inlaid amid a blue steel enamel. He states that Pignorius's large plate is the real size, and that Mount Faucon has in his copy inverted it. This is an error, but Herwart de Hohenberg has done so. The Guide to Northern Italy by Murray states that the tablet is now exhibited in Turin at the Museum of Egyptian Antiquities. He gives as the dimensions 4 feet 2 inches by 2 feet 5.5 inches. He states, without giving authorities, that it was first discovered on Mount Aventine in Rome, at a spot where a temple to Isis once stood, having been again lost at the sack of Rome. It was found in 1709 at Turin, carried away to Paris in 1797, and returned to Italy at the peace. He suggests that it was made in the time of the Roman Emperor Hadrian. Bedecker, also without quoting any authority, states that the tablet was first found in 1549 during the papacy of Paul III at the Villa Caffarelli at Rome. Aeneas de Vico, who published a splendid identical-sized drawing of the tablet in 1559 in Venice, gives the following as the title: Vetutissime tabulae Aeneae hieroglyphics hoc est sacris Egyptiorum litteris celatae typus, quem ex Torquati Bembe Museo and MDLIX Aeneas Vicus Promensus editit, ac imp Caius Ferdinando dedicavit nunc denuo publicae utilitalis ergo e tenebris inducem prodit. This volume has no history of the tablet nor any attempted description. Second edition appeared also at Venice in 1600, published by Jacques Franco. Caylus prints a copy of this one. John George Herwart de Hohenberg has also reproduced a drawing of the tablet in his work Thesaurus Hieroglyphicorum in 1610, and a diagram professing to explain it in his Admiranda Ethnicae Theologiae Mysteria, 1625. In this latter book, he suggests that the tablet is a sort of nautical map, and that all the figures are points of the compass. the particular position. But they fail to see a universal truth known as Kabbalah. I don't understand it. Or the Tao. How do you ignore Hinduism? How? It's got over 1 billion people that are interested in it. There's a lot of Hindus. They don't get a fucking say into your conversations at all? Hello? Okay, this is for you, my friend. Pick a number, 1 through 64, my friend. Hello?
55.
Okay, my friend, this will help with your love life. This is number 55. Fullness. The card says that this is a moment of fullness. The ardent flame of the vital force explodes with a crash and a thunder, canceling itself and canceling any inhibition of the conscience. Any sense of apathy vanishes. You are before a vital experience. Maybe you perceive it as death. Fear it not, for maybe, for the first time, you are alive. Fullness, number 55. That's the I Ching of love, the love oracle, the Chinese love oracle. People really like this little book I have. Very tiny little book. It's literally 2 pieces of paper, but it's a very tiny print. I sent it to my father. He said, I can't read that. Woo! Caught you, baby. I caught you. The particular position. But they fail to see a universal truth known as Kabbalah. I don't understand it. Or the Tao. How do you ignore Hinduism? How? There's got over 1 billion people that are interested in it. There's a lot of Hindus. They don't get a fucking say into your conversations at all? Hello? Okay, this is for you, my friend. Pick a number, 1 through 64, my friend. Hello?
55.
Okay, my friend, this will help with your love life. This is number 55. Fullness. The card says that this is a moment of fullness. The ardent flame of the vital force explodes with a crash and a thunder, canceling itself and canceling any inhibition of the conscience. Any sense of apathy vanishes. You are before a vital experience. Maybe you perceive it as death. Fear it not, for maybe, for the first time, you are alive.
Number 55. That's the I Ching of love. The love oracle, the Chinese love oracle. People really like this little book I have. Very tiny little book. It's literally 2 pieces of paper, but it's very tiny print. I sent it to my father. He said, I can't read that. Caught you, baby. Caught you. The particular position. But they failed to see a universal truth known as Kabbalah. I don't understand it. Or the Tao. How do you ignore Hinduism? How? It's got over 1 billion people that are interested in it. That's a lot of Hindus. They don't get a fucking say into your conversations at all? Hello? Okay, this is for you, my friend. Pick a number, 1 through 64, my friend. Hello? 55. Okay, my friend, this will help with your love life. This is number 55. Fullness. The card says that this is a moment of fullness. The ardent flame of the vital force explodes with a crash and a thunder, canceling itself, canceling any inhibition of the conscience, any sense of apathy vanishes. You are before a vital experience. Maybe you perceive it as death. Fear it not, for maybe, for the first time, you are alive. Fullness. Number 55. That's the I Ching of love. The love oracle. The Chinese love oracle. People really like this little book I have. Very tiny little book. It's literally 2 pieces of paper, but it's very tiny print. I sent it to my father. He said, I can't read that.